So be careful which path you follow. But if you want to stay by my side, then follow the path of light and click this arrow. The adventure continues beyond this point, but you must choose to move forward. Are you sure you want to keep going? Then let us venture forth together into the unknown. Who knows what wonders or perils await us on the path ahead? All will be revealed if you dare to click the arrow. If you are brave enough to face whatever lies ahead, click the arrow and let us move forward into the great beyond. If you've chosen to stay with me, I thank you. And if you've chosen a different path, I bid you farewell. May your journey be filled with wonder and your destination a place of peace. Until we meet again, if we ever do, remember, the light shines brightest in the darkness, and the greatest adventures are often found in the most unexpected places. So keep your hearts open and your minds curious, for who knows where our paths may lead next. Perhaps it's the memory of a loved one or the anticipation of a new day. Maybe it's the warmth of a friendship or the flicker of a dream. Whatever it is, hold on to it tightly, because sometimes in the darkest moments, it's all we have to guide us through the night. It stood there, a silent sentinel, ready to offer its light to anyone who crossed its path. A beacon of hope in a world that often seemed to have forgotten its meaning. The wind may howl and the snow may fall, but inside the candle shop there was peace. For in the quiet of the night, hope had been rekindled and the flame refused to be extinguished. He remembered a world where wishes were kindled and flames and dreams took flight on wings of firelight. As he worked, the candle grew, becoming a vessel not just for light, but for the very essence of optimism and faith. The scent of honey intensified, mingling with the subtler notes of star anise and white musk, a fragrance that spoke of quiet resilience and the promise of a brighter day. The room was filled with the gentle glow of moonlight, filtering through the frosted window pane, casting intricate shadows that danced in rhythm with Elric's movements. Each dip of the wick, each twist of the wrist, was a testament to his years of experience, a silent poem written in wax and firelight. But there's something else, something only Elric knows. Inside each candle, hidden beneath layers of wax, he presses a tiny rune, etched on a petal-thin sliver of bone, carved by hand beneath the waning moon. He stepped back, admiring his handiwork, a masterpiece not just of craftsmanship, but of quiet determination and the indomitable spirit of hope in its depths. The rune glowed faintly, a silent promise of renewal and strength. This candle was more than wax and wick and flame. It was a beacon, a guiding light in the darkest of nights, a testament to the enduring power of hope. He calls them sleep sigils. Not magic exactly, just memory. Stories turned to symbols, melted into light. And when these candles are lit at dusk, something peculiar happens. The flame dances differently. It flickers in rhythm with the breath of the person nearby. Some say the candle listens. Others say it dreams. But Elric never explains. He simply smiles and dips again. Drip, drip, drip. Soft wax coats the candle's frame, the warmth of the workshop wrapping around it like a hush. Outside, the snow whispers past the shutters, and the wind hums softly through the ivy. Time moves differently in this little shop, slower, softer, and the only sound is the soft hush of snowflakes landing on mossy rooftops. Not to the wind, not to the snow, but to the room itself. For you see, every candle tells a story. His wrinkled hands moved with practiced grace, dipping and twisting, shaping and smoothing. The air was thick with the aroma of honey and old magic. Before him lay a fresh sheet of parchment, upon which a single word was inscribed: hope, the flickering flame that refuses to be extinguished, even in the darkest of nights. It was a rare request, one that stirred memories in Elric's heart, like the crackling of a long-forgotten hearth. How many years had it been since someone had asked for a candle of hope? He couldn't recall. Decades, perhaps, since the town had turned away from such things, choosing instead the pragmatic glow of tallow and oil. But tonight, the request was simple and profound. He would make a candle of hope, a child's first dream, a mother's prayer, a widow's whispered wish. And tonight, there's a new candle to make, a special one, one that glows, not just with light, but with a secret. It's here in the heart of the village that you'll find a small wooden shop, its windows glowing faintly with amber light, like the last warmth of evening refusing to fade. Ah, yes, this is the workshop of old Elric, our quiet, kind candlemaker, who works not in daylight but only when the village sleeps. His hair is silver and it curls like candle smoke. His hands smell of beeswax and rosewater. He's made candles for every home, every hearth, and every holy day, yet never in the sun. He works by moonlight. Your breath moves slowly now, like the rise and fall of a small candle flame. Breathe in and let it go. Breathe in again and exhale. There's nothing to worry about right now. Just the softness of this moment, the calmness, the stillness. Let your eyelids grow heavier, like shutters closed for the night. Let your muscles sink like honey melting into warm bread. Let your thoughts float, like smoke from a chimney into the twilight sky. Let all your worries drift away, far out into the velvety darkness. All is well. Everything is fine. You are safe now. Nothing bad can happen to you here. Rest easy. Sleep well. Come closer, dear listener. Are you cold? Then snuggle closer to me. Here we can be safe. The shadows outside can't reach us here. We are safe inside. There is nowhere else you'd rather be. There's nowhere else you could be. You're safe now. Tonight, you stand at a crossroads. A decision looms, threatening to eclipse the flickering flame of hope, the weight of expectations. A heavy cloak upon your shoulders distorts your reflection in the polished surface before you. Will you succumb to the encroaching darkness or ignite a revolution? The choice, dear seeker, is yours. Choose wisely for your path. Tonight will be illuminated by the whispers of the cosmos. Hello there. Welcome to Night Vale. Hello there. I am your narrator. You're safe now. You are home. Let's all take a moment to relax, shall we? Close your eyes if you want. It's time to let go of the day. Our story tonight begins in a quiet mountain village, nestled deep in the folds of time. Each evening, as the village bells chimed midnight, Elric lights a single taper in his workshop and begins his work. As Elric places the finished candles on the wooden shelf, each one glistening like pearls, he pauses to listen. In the hushed silence of the night, while snowflakes danced outside the window, Elric, the candlemaker, sat hunched over his workbench. His fingers traced the rune for hope, an ancient symbol of renewal and dawn. Outside, the wind sighed its mournful tune, carrying with it the chill of winter's embrace. Finally, the candle was done, tall and proud, its surface a canvas of swirling patterns, a tapestry of light and shadow. And as the first rays of dawn began to paint the sky with hues of rose. And now, dear listener, I have a question for you. What is your candle burning for tonight? What flame do you tend in the darkness? Are you still with me? Good. Then let us move forward together. And let's keep going for tonight's candle. Tonight's candle is for a little girl named Lisa. She lives in the cottage with the blue door and the crooked chimney, the one just beyond the old. Well, we know where this story is taking place. We know who our main character is, Alaric, and we know why Alaric is so important to the town because of how he can help people with their problems. And this is one of those nights. Liza has not been sleeping well. Her mother says the night feels too big. He hums gently as he twists it into a wick. There's so much sensory detail. I love how you can see this scene in your mind. You can see this man making these candles. Then comes the lavender oil. Just to drops, so delicate. They float on the surface before melting in. The candle is finished. He holds it in both hands, cradling it, as one might hold a sleeping bird. You can see the thread being dipped into the wax. You could see these different tools out. You could see the wax, the dried herbs. You could see these candles on the shelves. You could tell that this person cared about what they do. This person took pride in their work. The candle has been left outside and obviously it hasn't melted. The wax hardens in quiet circles around the dipping rods. We learn more about him in this paragraph than any other paragraph in the story. We learn that he's respected in the community. People leave him gifts in, thanks for what he did for them. They leave him notes. They leave him flowers. It also foreshadows that he has helped other people in his life. There's a lot of meaning in this paragraph, but it's also a really nice way to end a section. Instead of ending on Lysa, you end on Elric. You go back to him. Before his eyes grew tired of candlelit scrolls and the weight of silence, it wasn't kind. Here in his quiet shop, the silence is gentle. Here the flicker of light tells its own stories. Here even the shadows have names. You remind us of who he is, of what he does. He chose to be here. He chose this life. This is where he's supposed to be. If you haven't already, please check out the author's social media. Go follow him. This story appeared in an anthology. It's a great way to support the author and also to read other amazing flash fiction stories. And the last line reinforces the idea that in this shop, in this village, even the shadows have names. The shadows are given value. The darkness is not scary. It's understood. It's accepted. He hangs his apron by the hearth and warms his hands by the fire. He smiles and places the note back in the box. The candles on the shelves glow faintly in the firelight, each one waiting, each one holding a whisper of a story yet to unfold. There is a small, carved box on the mantel filled with little notes he's kept over the years. Notes from the villagers left in thanks. Some just say sleep came easy. In a village like this, night isn't just for sleep. It's for mending, for remembering, for soft things that have no place in the noise of day. Elric knows this better than anyone. Others say nothing at all, only sending a pressed flower or a silver button. It's still there. The next morning, when young Lysa lights the candle in her house, everything changes. The scent of the candle fills her room. The shadows are softer on her walls. And most importantly, she is able to sleep. She has peace. Her problem has been solved. The story slows down. We take a moment to look at the village. It's a winter night. It's peaceful. It's quiet. He looks at these notes, these letters from the townspeople. He reads them. He remembers the people that he's helped. And the final line is a reminder to us that each candle holds a story. Each candle is different. We return to the idea of night. We see the bells chiming, the hours drifting away. The candles are still waiting. And this final line is the most important line in the story. It tells us why this man does what he does. He understands the importance of the quiet moments. He understands the importance of rest and reflection. The story isn't over. There's more to come. The shadows on the wall soften, and she sleeps all through the night, dreaming of meadows and stars. And the candle flickers once, then burns with a gentle, listening flame. It's so nice to take this moment to breathe, to reflect, to think about what's happening in the story so far, and to also connect to the world. Again, we get more sensory detail. The snow falling like sugar on top of the tarts, the crunch of the snow under his boots. You can hear the wax folding around the thread. You can almost feel the warmth of the candle being created. Elric steps outside, his boots crunching softly on the frosted earth. He walks to the blue door, quietly, carefully, and leaves the candle on the sill. No notes, no knock, just a gift, then dips it. Once, twice, again, and again. The melted wax folds around it like warm milk, thick and soft. Each layer catches a little moonlight. Each ripple holds a sigh of peace. Too quiet. And the dark presses in like a heavy blanket. Elric knows just what to do. I love how this story starts off with setting the scene. He chooses a strand of flaxen thread, so pale it almost disappears in his fingers. This story was written by a very talented writer. So this entire story is written in such beautiful prose. Elric opens a tiny drawer, one you might miss if you weren't looking closely. Inside it are the runes, carved from cherry bark and bone. He selects one gently. It's another way that he helps the townspeople. And it also connects us to a larger world. There's a history to this rune, a culture, the forest monks. There's so much that lies outside of this little village that we're seeing here. Brushing his thumb over its worn surface, this one is called Sundream, an old rune once used by the forest monks to soothe wandering minds. It holds the memory of sun-dappled meadows, the hum of bees, and the weightless joy of lying in warm grass with your eyes closed. Not only does this paragraph tell us about this object, the rune, but it also shows us how Elric uses the rune. He places the rune carefully in the wax nestled near the heart of the candle, where the heat will wake it but not melt it away too fast. If you were to walk into this person's shop, you would immediately notice that this person cares about their craft. Outside, a soft wind plays along the eaves. Snow dusts the windows like sugar on a tart. The village is fast asleep. As the story goes on, there's a change of pace. The next morning when Lissa lights the candle, her room smells of thyme and sun-warmed linen. So this part of the story is set in the morning. Back in the shop, Elric cleans his tools with linen cloth. Another beautiful paragraph. This paragraph focuses on Elric. Elric reads one quietly. The script is old, faded, but familiar. For the night you gave me peace. For the silence that did not feel empty. So in this paragraph, we get a glimpse into Elric's heart. Outside the bells chime once, twice. The hour drifts away like smoke and still the candles wait. This is the final paragraph. He once served as a scribe in the royal court many winters ago. Before his hands grew too shaky to ink the king's words. This is our backstory. This is why Elric is in this village. He's not from here. Overall, this story is beautiful. The writing is stunning. It's poetic. It's magical. Winter deepens. The days pass shorter, colder. Winds grow bolder, nipping at shutters, curling under doors with playful chill. Here, time moves differently. Days bleed into nights, filled with melting wax, bubbling cauldrons and whispers of magic. For within these four walls, Elric keeps his craft alive. Every morning he finds new requests left on his doorstep. Slowly, hesitantly, he gets up and approaches the threshold, hand hovering over the handle. When he was young, before he made candles for a living, he would have charged in without a second thought, sword drawn, ready for any peril. Thank you, she says softly. Elric hesitates, unsure how to begin. Finally, he picks up the package. It's tied with a silver cord. Carefully, he unties it, revealing a single page torn from a book and a feather ink stained at its tip. She asks, her eyes shining in the firelight. Every day, he replies, his voice hoarse with disuse. And when the sun returns, she says, smiling, perhaps I'll bring mine back to you. Then she is gone, leaving Elric alone in his shop, surrounded by the scent of melting wax and the ghost of her laughter. As the last echoes fade, Elric turns back to his work, his heart lighter than it's been in years. He knows that spring is coming. He can feel it in the very marrow of his bones, and with it, the promise of new beginnings. He pulls out the page. It's blank, except for a single sentence written in elegant script. Make me a candle that remembers ink. Elric looks up, startled, and meets the young woman's gaze. She offers him a sad smile. For too long, she says, I've written too many words, and none of them stayed. Elric feels a pang of sympathy. He understands. Sometimes letting go is the hardest thing of all. None of them stayed, she repeats, her voice barely a whisper. No letters, no poems, no dreams stayed where they were written. Elric nods slowly, reaching for the feather. In his palm, it feels cool, surprisingly light. Closing his eyes, he leans into its touch, drawing strength from its delicate touch. I believe, he murmurs, that I can help you with that. Now, centuries later, he stands frozen, fear tightening its icy fingers around his heart. He gathers violet oil, sprigs of rosemary and ash from an old book page. When he dips the splinter of inkstone into the wax, he pauses. He can feel the feather's energy thrumming beneath his fingers. It has power still, a story still to tell. Elric knows what he must do. He carries the candle to the hearth and holds it above the flames, whispering the ancient rune of memory dust. He imbues it with magic, causing the liquid within to glow a soft blue. When it's done, he sets it down and lights it with a trembling hand. The flame dances in the gloom, casting strange shadows on the wall. Then, as if awakened from a long sleep, the candle begins to glow, bathing the room in a pool of moonlight and memories. Taking a deep breath, Elric hands the candle to the young woman. "Here," he says softly. "This may help." She reaches out, her fingers brushing his. For a moment, Elric feels a spark ignite within him, chasing away the lingering chill of winter. "Thank you," she whispers, her voice thick with emotion. "I hope it helps," he murmurs back, watching as she turns and walks toward the door. If he opens this door, he might find the courage to step back into the world, face whatever storm rages outside, or he might find only loneliness, an echo of the past, and be forced to close himself off once more. Some find parchment sealed with wax, others carved into scraps of driftwood or whittled onto the bones of apple core. What is he to fear? It's just the wind. Yes, that's all it is. The sound grows louder, closer, and then it stops. Suddenly, the door bursts open, flinging shadows across the floor. Breathless, Elric takes a step back, knocking over a stool, then another, stumbling blindly for the counter, hiding behind jars and half-melted wax. Whoever was out there has entered. They move closer. He can hear the scrape of boots on stone, the sigh of displaced air. Closer still, and then Elric. A voice calls, hesitant, uncertain. Elric freezes. That voice, he knows it. He just can't quite place it. "Elric," it says again, softer this time. "Are you there?" Taking a deep breath, Elric emerges from behind the counter, arms outstretched, a weak smile on his face. "Who is it? Who dares disturb my humble abode on such a night?" The newcomer shivers, pulling their cloak tighter. "Forgive me, Elric. I meant no intrusion. I just thought perhaps you might help me." Elric sees that it's a young woman, beautiful, despite the grime of travel clinging to her clothes. Her rood falls back, revealing a tangle of fiery red curls escaping from its confines. But what captures his attention most are her eyes, pools of starlight set in a pale face framed by those curls. "Help you with what?" he asks, his voice raspy from disuse. "With a candle," she replies, holding out a small parcel wrapped in velvet. "I heard you make candles here, Elric. I need one." She steps forward, revealing the full length of her worn leather boots, patched trousers and tunic, the curve of her hip beneath a faded belt. Elric feels his cheeks flush, suddenly aware of how dimly lit his shop is, how disordered, how utterly alone he's been for so long. "Of course," he manages, surprised by the catch in his own voice. Come in. Let us see what we can do." Together, they approach the table. Elric motions for her to sit while he rummages for supplies. Some are written only in objects: a pressed flower, a baby's abandoned ribbon, a lock of horsehair, each one a story, each one deserving of a flame. So Elric spends his days reading them quietly, placing them in a row on the window seat where the morning sun falls directly upon them. It's not a job best done with logic or reason. By trade, Elric is a scholar, a researcher of ancient lore and long-forgotten languages. But this, making candles that remember, requires something deeper. He decides with his heart which soul needs light most, which dream needs guarding tonight. Snow piles on window seats and rooftops, muffling sounds, slowing steps. Years ago, he gave up on grand halls and boisterous feasts. Winter tightens its grip on the land, cold fingers drumming on the glass. Inside, the fire sputters. Soon, he thinks, soon it will be spring. What requests will then fill his shop? What hopes and dreams will melt in the warmth of his flames? How many loves will he light? How many fears banish? Outside, the wind rises. As Elric stirs his cauldron, a shadow sweeps across the doorway, momentarily blocking out the lamplight. Startled, he turns. No one is there. Yet the door creaks open further, revealing darkness beyond. Then, carried on the breeze, he hears the faintest of sounds, the rustle of velvet, the whisper of silk, and something else, something that stops his blood cold. The soft pad of velvet slippers on stone. No one has visited in months. No one dares venture out in such weather. Who could it be? Long ago, he renounced titles and turned away from a birthright that smelled too much of smoke and blood. Now, surrounded by herbs and alchemy, he finds peace. He has spent hundreds of years reading scrolls, deciphering glyphs, and poring over maps of constellations that no longer shine. Yet none of that compares to the quiet joy of candle making. With every taper, he breathes stories to life. Every one, a tiny universe of meaning. The village itself seems to breathe in sync with the falling flakes. And so the world slows, curling in on itself until there's nothing left to do but wait for spring. But inside Elric's workshop, the air remains steady, warm from the fire, and golden from the flicker of candlelight. The work is lonely, but it suits him. It's late in the season. Elric pulls his chair closer to the fire, peering into the dancing flames. Was it just the wind, or was someone at his door? He takes a deep breath, trying to calm the wild drum of his heart. The young woman sets the parcel down and runs a gloved hand through her hair. Slowly, carefully, Elric begins to fashion a new candle. At the threshold, she pauses, turning back to face him. "Do you still make candles?" Elric opens his eyes, the twilight taper still flickering beside him, steady and still. The room is quiet. Even the fire hums low, like a cat curled in sleep. He smiles, brushing a drop of wax from the corner of the table. The scentless flame feels like a pause in time, a memory suspended in light. He places the taper on the high shelf, the one reserved for candles not meant to be given, candles that are sacred in a way. Not long after, the village begins preparing for the festival of St. Bernard. It's a celebration older than the chapel itself, a night when every home lights a candle in honor of those who came before. The villagers believe the flames guide ancestors back for a single night of warmth and peace. Not to haunt, not to speak, just to be near. Elric's shop becomes busy. Notes slip under his door like fallen leaves. One for my father, who carved birds from stone. For my sister, who taught me to laugh. For the child I never met. He reads each one twice, sometimes 3 times. Sometimes he weeps. Then ... He begins. Each candle is different. One smells of sea salt and wind, a fisherman's prayer. Another of jasmine and pears, a girl who dances in gardens. One glows blue only when someone is thinking of someone else. 4 nights, Elric barely sleeps. He works under the stars, humming the old hymns, watching the wax pool and swirl like memory itself. And when the festival arrives, ... The village glows. Windows and walkways bloom with flames, soft, golden, like petals opening in the dark. Children run between cottages, chasing candlelight like fireflies. Old women hold hands by the hearth. Laughter bubbles up from doorways. And over it all, ... the steady hum of remembrance. Elric walks among them. He carries no candle. He needs none, because every light he sees, every flicker, every flame was born in his little shop. And in their glow, ... he feels whole. Later that night, when the bells have quieted and the stars have slipped behind clouds, ... Elric returns to his workbench. Only one candle remains. It is small, made of beeswax and pine. Its wick is dyed red, its base wrapped in ribbon. It's not for the village, not for ancestors. It's for him. He lights it and places it beside the window. The flame leans gently to the left, then straightens ... then stills. Outside, the snow has stopped. The world is wrapped in hush. Inside, the candle glows like a slow breath. And for the first time in many nights, ... sleeps. His dreams come quietly. A field of heather, a river made of ink, a girl with laughter like candlelight, and his sister's voice. Soft, distant, warm, thank you for remembering. Morning breaks like melted gold across the rooftops. A soft thaw, a promise of spring. Elric wakes to a shop, still lit by the little red candle. Its flame now low, ... but steady. He sits by it, watches it breathe, and says nothing. Because some moments do not need words. Just warmth, just light, just a quiet piece of being. Today's story was inspired by a piece of artwork. Every day, more and more, I am in awe of the community here. How we take these images, take these words, and build something together. You all have such an incredible imagination, and I love hearing where you go with my prompts or artwork. Today we have another image by our artist for today. Days grow longer now. Not by much, but enough for Elric to notice. The icicles drip a little earlier. The birds return, first in pairs, then in clusters, and in the mornings, he hears the hush of water trickling beneath the snow, a whisper that spring is not far. But spring ... comes slowly to the mountains, and still, the candles are needed. One morning, a boy arrives at Elric's door. Not with a request, but with a story. He holds an unlit candle, an old one. Cracked, its wick bent sideways, its base dusty. My grandfather gave me this, the boy says. He said it only works if you're quiet. But I've tried ... and it never lights. I think it's broken. Elric takes the candle gently. He holds it close, turning it in the golden light. It's one of his. He made it nearly 40 winters ago. May I? Elric asks softly. The boy nods. Elric closes his eyes and breathes in cedar, time, and something older. The scent of oak barrels and warm earth. He cups his hands and gently shields the wick, strikes flint to steel, and just as the spark touches the candle, it flickers once, then again, then glows. The boy's eyes widen. But how? Elric smiles. It wasn't broken. It was just waiting for someone to remember it kindly. The boy sits in the shop for a long while after that. He doesn't speak. He simply watches the candle. Sometimes, that's all we need. A bit of warmth that asks for nothing. Each day brings new requests. A candle to keep nightmares from a sleeping babe. A candle to guide a lost traveler home. A candle to chase away the loneliness of old age. Most of them Elric can help with. But sometimes a candle isn't enough. A young mother came for one of those last fall. Her babe was burning with fever. Nothing Elric could make would ease the child's suffering. Only a mountain mage's touch could save her now. But the mage had been gone for 3 years. Will he come back? The woman whispered, clutching the unlit candle. She hadn't asked for that one yet. Elric looked up from the wax and herbs he was sorting. I don't know, he said honestly. He may or may not. But you can ask him yourself. The woman blinked. How? If you light this candle, Elric said, pointing to the wick, then say what you want with your whole heart. He'll hear you. The woman hesitated, then struck a match. As the flame caught, she closed her eyes and whispered her request. Elric didn't hear the words, but he saw the tears on her face and knew what they were. Then a gust of wind suddenly slammed against the door. Rain lashed against the windows, and standing in the doorway, drenched and wild-haired, was the mountain mage. Did you call me? He asked breathlessly. The woman gasped. Oh, yes, she breathed. Yes, I did. Sometimes, Elric thinks, it's better to ask for help than to pretend you don't need any. The mage left as quickly as he came, promising to return at dawn. And when the sun was barely a fingernail sliver in the sky, he was back. With him, he brought a salve that eased the child's burning skin and drove out the fever. Afterwards, the woman wanted to pay him, but the mage waved away her money pouch. A kindness repaid is a debt canceled, he told her. Your candle burned brightly. That's payment enough. He glanced at Elric, and the old candlemaker understood. Years pass in seasons and decades. In the end, it's the quietest candles that burn bright. There are some scents Elric can't bring himself to make anymore. Lilac and honeysuckle, hyacinth, and rue. These are the scents of a young love whose flame burned too briefly. He hasn't made them since she died. Winter after winter, he kept the wax and wicks and dried petals ready to go. Then he couldn't bear it. Each inhale would pull up memories too fresh, too painful. His friend had been right. You can't force remembrance. You can only tend its ember until it grows warm again. Or maybe, Elric thought, sniffing the jar of dried lilac, maybe some things aren't meant to be remembered. Maybe some goodbyes must stay final. Then a girl arrived at his door. She had hair like braided moonlight and eyes the color of twilight. "I heard you make very special candles," she said, holding out a small jar filled with lilac blossoms. Elric took it and smiled. "Yes, I used to. Would you like me to make a candle for you?" She dipped her head in thanks and stepped closer. "This is for remembrance, isn't it? For remembering people who are gone." "Yes," Elric said, stirring the wax. "And sometimes," he added, watching the girl's reflection in the metal pot, "we forget because we think it would hurt less that way. But sometimes forgetting hurts more than remembering, and sometimes we need to remember." The girl stayed in the shop for a long while, listening to the wax melt and the lavender steam. "What's your name?" Elric asked her when the moment felt right. She paused. "Elara," she whispered. "After the evening star." He smiled. "That's a beautiful name." Then Elara leaned closer, her breath misting in the air. "Would you make a candle with the flowers from my jar? It's for my mother. She died before I was born. All I have are these blossoms dried, and a story about how she smelled like dusk." Elric's throat tightened. This was not the girl he had expected, nor the one he had hoped for. He dipped a wick in the scented wax. "She sounds like a wonder," he said. "In the end, it's the quietest candles that burn and there are other requests Elric can't grant." A young couple sought him out last summer. They wanted a candle to keep their love from fading, but their bond was a shallow thing, like the dew on a leaf or the foam on a wave. Elric refused their request. Their love was too new to preserve. The memory of something so fragile wouldn't survive the sealing wax. "Besides," he told them, "you shouldn't need a candle for that. Your love should be strong enough on its own." The couple scoffed at him, but 3 months later, they returned, both holding wilted flowers. "We broke up," the girl said quietly. "I think I was wrong," the boy added, "about us and about her. I want a candle to remember her." But Elric took the flowers, dried them, and made a candle for the boy. In the end, it's the quietest candles that burn bright. It took 3 winters for the grief to fade from his bones. Now he laughs easily, and often, though the lines etched into his face remain, he still misses her. But he also remembers her laughter, her love, her light, and that, he knows, is the truest form of remembrance. When the days grow longer and the ice begins to melt, Elric will light a candle for them both. If you liked this story, you might also enjoy our podcast. We have lots of great stories and songs. Our artist for today is a multi-talented individual whose art graces the world in breathtaking ways. Please make sure to check out their page and support them. Thank you. So we've seen the word candle a lot in this story so far. You're probably thinking, what could possibly come next? A whole new realm of candle magic, perhaps. Well, not exactly. What we have to learn about candles today is really more about light than fire. Let's get started. In our story, there's mention of a candle burning blue. When candles burn different colors, that usually indicates the addition of certain minerals to the wax. In the medieval period, colored candles were a sign of wealth or status. White candles were the most expensive because they used refined wax, and they didn't have any colorants added to them. Green candles were lit during religious festivals and celebrations. Red candles symbolized courage, power, and love. Yellow candles were thought to be protective. They were often placed near doorways or hung in windows to ward off evil spirits. Blue candles were typically associated with the Virgin Mary. In the modern age, there's another reason for why a candle might burn blue. This one doesn't involve any magical properties. Though, if a candle is burning blue, it actually means that it's not getting enough oxygen. So what would a candle in the medieval period look like that was burning blue? Well, it would depend on the type of wax and the colorant. But I believe the most likely answer is that it would look a little like this. Elric comes across an old woman who seems to recognize the place he lives and works. Sometimes people return to the places of their childhood or their youth, but not always to stay. The phrase "walk slowly," leaning on a gnarled cane that smells of elderwood and mint, shows us the old woman's frailty. but also gives us some clues about the time of year and location this story takes place in. Elder wood is a strong wood from the elder tree, which was commonly used for staffs and walking canes because of its durability. It was also believed that carrying an elder staff could protect you from witches. Mint growing on a walking cane is another clue, pointing to spring. Mint loves cool weather. It grows best during the spring and fall, and it dies back in hot summers. Now, this isn't a clue that Elric lives somewhere warm. After all, the story mentions rain. There's a simple explanation for how mint would grow on a cane. When someone bundles up plants to dry for storage, they'll often tie the bundle with a strip of bark or vine, and over time, seeds from other plants can take root on those materials. The easiest way to make sure your herbs are separated and stay intact is to use something round, like a cane. When the old woman is described as having a back bent, with age, we have an opportunity to think about posture and aging. As humans age, they become more stooped over. Many people notice that elderly relatives or neighbors have this kind of posture. We could attribute this change in posture to the weight of a heavy burden. The old woman may have carried burdens of many kinds throughout her life, but it's also a natural result of aging. Gravity wins in the end, and gravity has no mercy. Our protagonist offers the old woman honey tea and oat biscuit. Both of these foods would have been common in the medieval period. Honey was used for sweetening drinks, and in this case, it was probably mixed in with vinegar or lemon juice to form a kind of mead or mead-like beverage. In many countries, it's called honey wine, but it's technically not an alcoholic drink because it doesn't contain any fermented ingredients. Mead is made by mixing honey and water and then boiling it. After it's cooled, it becomes crystallized. To make honey tea, you would simply add the crystallized honey to your hot water. Oat cakes were simple flatbreads made from oats. These would have been easy for a poor person to make since oats were a cheap and accessible grain. As the story progresses, we learn a little more about Elric's shop. It's filled with candles, and each candle has a name beside it on a ledger. It's an interesting choice to say that the candles are whispering to him, rather than actually speaking that way. The reader doesn't assume that we'll hear the actual voices of these candles. Instead, Elric hears them in the cracks and pops and in the scents of the candles as they burn. Elric listens to the candles with his heart and remembers each one. We meet a few characters in this story that are connected to Elric through the candles they've purchased from him. There's the young mother who lost her husband at sea. There's the boy who has a broken candle from his birthday cake. These are only two examples of the ways that Elric's candles can represent memory. First, there's the idea of memorial candles, candles that are lit to honor the dead. The second type of memory related to the candles is a little more abstract. When a customer buys a candle, it's like putting a drop of their soul into the wax and the wick. Elric preserves these souls by recording the names of the people who bought the candles. Each name becomes a permanent part of the shop. It's similar to the stories written on the walls of Pompeii. People wrote them as a kind of prayer, leaving their mark and letting future passers-by know that they had been there. Not every candle that Elric makes is meant to be sold. Some of them are kept in reserve, ready to be used when they're needed. One of these candles is wrapped in dark violet linen and tied with a ribbon of indigo thread. The candle hasn't been used in 15 winters, but Elric just knows that it's not ready yet. This sounds a bit magical, right? Like the candle is sending Elric telepathic messages, telling him to wait. However, there's a more straightforward explanation here. It is entirely possible that Elric knows the candle is ready to be used, because he made it for a specific occasion, and the occasion hasn't happened yet. For example, maybe the candle is meant to be lit at the funeral of someone important. Perhaps it's for a festival that happens once every 15 years. Or maybe it's a candle that's supposed to be lit when Elric himself retires. Whatever the reason, there's probably a logical explanation for Elric's certainty. Later, Elric lights a small, unassuming candle. It's not large. It's not special. It's just tallow and thyme. But it burns steady. And the flame, though small, dances like it remembers someone. When we see a candle that's small, it's easy to think that it won't be able to accomplish anything. But this candle serves its purpose perfectly. It illuminates the darkness in a way that's both comforting and intimate. The flame, dancing like it remembers someone, is a very poetic line, but it also implies that the candle is capable of more than just giving light. It can preserve memories. The ability of candles to help us remember isn't surprising when you consider how closely they were watched during the medieval period. People took notice of the patterns in the flames and interpreted them as signs or omens. Some saw prophetic visions in the dancing flames. Others found reassurance in the soft glow. In the time before electricity, candles were one of the only ways to bring light into people's homes at night. They were used for everything from making art to writing letters to religious ceremonies. This story explores how candles can illuminate more than just a room. They can illuminate a person's memory. Let's talk about the final scene in the story. It takes place at a cottage without a roof. Elric sits beside the stone wall and lights a candle. It's not a big or special candle, but it burns steady, and the flame dances like it remembers someone. The idea of a flame dancing is a metaphor for the way it flickers rapidly, as if it's alive. While it's certainly possible that Elric has a special candle that can dance like it remembers someone, it's also possible that this line means something else. The dancing flame is a metaphor for the movement of the memory that is being illuminated by the candlelight. Elric and the person he's remembering are no longer alive, but by lighting this candle, Elric is keeping their memory alive. As our world becomes increasingly digital, it's easy to forget how important physical objects can be. A candle is more than just a source of light or heat. It can be a powerful symbol of hope, remembrance, and love. Thank you for watching. But today is a new day, and we're going to spend it in the company of a storyteller. I'm playing a character called Elric, who runs a candle shop. Tonight, the wind carries pine. Elric opens the shutters just slightly, letting the forest's breath whisper into the shop. The candles flicker, not in fear, but in greeting, like they remember that scent. He takes a deep breath. So do you. Slow, easy, and calm. Elric sells all kinds of candles, but his specialty is whispers. He makes them himself. These ones, on nights when he can't sleep, when his thoughts are too loud, when the stars blink too fast. He pours a candle with the wax, taking in his unrest, his wonder, his hope, then hardening and held it. He calls them the whisper candles, because their flames are gentle, their glows soft and steady. Sometimes, travelers stop by, always at dusk, always quietly. They don't ask for candles, not directly. They ask, do you have one that feels like home? Or, do you have a light that forgets sorrow? Elric always does. He never charges them, just smiles, lights the wick with a flintstone older than he is, and watches them soften in the golden glow. No words, just warmth. Tonight, though, there's a new face, someone who seems lost in the gloom. Elric hesitates, then asks softly, "What troubles your light?" She looks up, startled. It's a young woman, face streaked with dirt and tears, shoulders shaken with silent sobs. Slowly, she lifts a small, cold lump of wax. No wick, no flame, just shape. "I want to give this to my brother," she whispers, voice rough with unshed tears. "He's sick. I found this by a It must have dropped from the candle my mother made him before she died. I want to give it to him. But it doesn't shine." Elric kneels gently, touches the wax, still warm from her hands. He smiles sadly. "Then let's give it a reason to glow." She nods, lays it in his palm, and steps back as he works. It's a simple balm. What he does, melting the old wax down, adding a little bit of his own, showing her how to dip the wick, how to turn it slowly, how to breathe into the wax. All the while, she tells him about her family, about her brother, about how she thinks he might die and how scared she is. By the time the candle is finished, lavender-scented, Elric is wreathed in stories. The girl is silent, save for the occasional when he hands it to her, wrapped in soft cloth. She beams, clutching it close. In that moment, so does the candle just faintly, as if it heard her and agreed. He asks her name, which is Marin, and as she leaves, he adds it to his ledger. That's the one he'll call it. You know, in the old days, people didn't think of night as one stretch of time. They thought of it as two sleeps. They'd slumber for a few hours, then wake up gently in the middle of the night. Some would write, others would pray, some would wander, and some would whisper. Then they'd fall into the second sleep, even deeper than the first. I love that idea. I think I'll try to wake up in the middle of the night tonight. Sometimes when he wakes in the middle of the night, Elric pours a new candle, a sleepwalker's light, made when the world forgets how to be busy, made in a hush, and meant for the quietest parts of your mind. Years pass. Seasons turn, his hands gnarled, his hair dusted with snow. Still, he climbs the mountain once a year to replace the candle at the stone hollow. Though fewer and fewer travelers come to the shop now, still, when they do, Elric pours a new candle, always different, always perfect for them. One snowy night, a small girl comes in, wrapped in a too-big cloak. She holds a cold lump of wax, no wick, no flame, just shape. I want to give this to my mother, she says, but it doesn't shine. Elric kneels gently, touches the wax. It's warm from her hands. He smiles and says, then let's give it a reason to glow. Together, they melted. Add a twist of rose petals, a sprinkle of nutmeg, and a single thread from her red mitten. He teaches her how to dip the wick, how to turn it slowly, how to whisper into the wax. She says, I love you, Mama, very softly. The candle finishes, cinnamon sweet. He wraps it in soft cloth. The girl beams. And in that moment, so does the candle faintly, as if it heard her, and agreed. Back in the ledger, Elric adds her name, Marin, and beneath it, one word, a bright heart. A candle for a bright heart. Some nights, he wakes in the middle of the night, and when he does, he pours a new candle, a midnight one. These are the sleepwalker's lights, made when the world forgets how to be busy, made in a hush and meant for the quietest parts of your mind. How many of you have trouble sleeping? I sure do. Even when I'm tired, my mind is racing, thinking of all the things I have to do, of all the words I have to say, of all the notes I have to send. I need a good sleep meditation because I need to rest. I need to recharge. Otherwise, I get cranky, and you don't want that. You don't want a cranky narrator, do you? You don't want a cranky narrator. Well, thank goodness there's an app for that. Calm. It's the #1 app for mental wellness. It offers guided meditations, sleep stories, nature sounds, music tracks, and more, all created with leading experts and award-winning creators. Personally, I love the sleep and wake-up journeys. The former guides you into a peaceful sleep with soothing meditations, nature sounds, and gentle reminders to let go of the day's stresses. I also love the mindful walk because it helps you focus on the present moment and brings you back to yourself through mindful awareness of and the daily movement sessions help me move my stiff old bones and energize my body. Calm is also great because they offer something for everyone. If you want to learn to meditate, they have a variety of courses that can help you build a daily practice. If you're looking to improve your sleep, they have a whole host of sleep meditations, stories, and soundscapes to help you drift off. And if you just need to relax, they have tons of nature scenes and ambient music to help you unwind. .com is more than an app. It's a whole community of people who are all working towards the same goal, living happier, healthier lives. And now, for your outro. When the world feels too loud, when worries seem endless, when the weight of the day threatens to swallow you, I want you to think of Elric and his whisper candles. May their soft glow remind you of your inner strength, just as it did for those weary travelers seeking solace in his humble shop. Thank you so much for joining us today. Don't forget to subscribe. And here's another story you might enjoy. Welcome to the most magical place on earth, where the river of stars flows right into the sea of dreams. This is where stories come to play and legends come to live. Sometimes the candles hum, not out loud, but if you listen with your chest, not your ears, you'll feel it. A warmth without fire, a song without sound. Elric says the ones made on solstices hum the longest, especially those dipped during the standing still sun. When time itself seems to pause, on the longest night of winter, he makes a candle with blue wax, dark, like the night sky, swirled with specks of silver ash. like stars caught in frost. He names it the sky below, and lights it only once a year, on that single night when the world leans furthest away from the sun. The flame is smaller than usual, but it never wavers. He sits beside it in silence, not lonely, just present. Have you ever noticed how wax remembers touch? If pressed, even gently, it holds the imprint, a fingerprint, a thumb curve, like soft stone recording a life. Elric sometimes leaves his thumbprint at the base of every third candle, just in case someone needs to feel that they're not alone. In medieval times, people believed beeswax candles were purer. They burned cleaner and sweeter. Some thought they carried prayers better, that the scent helped words lift, unseen, toward the heavens. Others believed they warded off illness, because bees themselves were seen as holy workers. Elric uses beeswax only when someone brings him a note sealed with red thread. Those are quiet griefs, the kind that needs a sweeter flame. One night, he receives a visitor with a violin. The man speaks little, but plays. Notes float between the rafters, lingering like mist. Elric moved, lights 5 candles in a row, each one a different blend: roast wood, myrrh, honeycomb, cedar, and snow melt oil. As the music plays, the flames lean, just slightly, toward the sound. The shop feels lifted, weightless, sacred. Did you know that in many medieval villages, it was forbidden to light a candle without permission after the bell of curfew? People feared fire, yes, but also gossip, secrets, and unseen gathering. Still, some candles burned past curfew, quietly, behind shutters, for those with secrets too heavy to sleep beside. Elric keeps such a candle. He calls it the confessor's flame. It's small and steady. He lights it only for those who need to speak, but can't be heard. A boy once came to him trembling, didn't speak, just handed over a letter. It had no words, only inked stars, and a circle drawn in red. Elric understood. He didn't ask why, just gave the boy a candle shaped like the moon. White wax, blue wick. Light this only when you're ready, he whispered, and let it burn through the silence. The boy nodded and left. That candle never came back. And Elric smiles when he remembers, because that's what healing looks like. It doesn't return the same, but it continues. Like wax turned light, every full moon Elric closes his shop early. Not every month, mind you, only when the moon is full. When the silver orb hangs fat and low in the velvet sky, he pulls down the ladder, locks the door, and climbs the clock tower at the end of the street. Up there, amidst the bells and the wind, he has built a home. Not a grand one, just enough room for a table, a chair, a pot of herbs, simmering on a hearth, and a window to watch the moon climb higher and higher until it spills silver across the sleeping town. Then he lights a candle. Its flame dances with shadows, sharp and bright, mirroring the chase of light and dark on the moon's pale face. Sometimes he reads, tracing letters by the glow. Sometimes he writes, pouring words onto paper. Sometimes he simply watches, letting the silence spin tailies around him like moonlight on water. He does not fear the dark up here, for he knows, as all who love the moon do, that darkness is but a cradle, a waiting space where light gathers strength to spill forth anew. And when the moon dips low, and the first hint of rose paints the eastern sky, he climbs down the tower, unlocks his shop, and greets the day with a smile. For in the quiet hours, when most are lost to dreams, he meets the pulse of the world, raw and true, and it fills him with a quiet strength, a peace that blooms like a moonflower at dusk, ready to guide him through the day. Once, a woman hurried into the shop, her cloak pulled tight against the wind. She held a candle aloft, its flame dancing wildly in her shaking hands. Fear etched on her face. "Please," she gasped, holding out the candle. "It won't stop dancing. My child is ill, and I must light the fever candle before midnight. But this flame, it flickers like a frightened bird. Can you help?" Elric took the candle, its wax cool under his fingertips. With a gentle touch, he pressed his thumb into the soft wax, imprinting his mark, a silent promise. "Fear not," he said, his voice calm. In the flickering glow, the woman saw not only a steady flame, but a reflection of her own resolve hardening into steel. "Hold this close," Elric instructed, handing it back to her. "Trust in its steadiness, and trust in yourself." The woman clutched the candle as if it were a lifeline, then rushed out into the night. Elric watched her go, a faint smile touching his lips. For in that one simple act, he had not just calmed a flickering flame, but fortified a mother's love. And that, he knew, was the truest magic of all. Elric often closes his eyes and listens, not to the rumble of the street below, nor the chime of the old clock tower, but to the whispers within the walls of his shop. For these four walls are old, older than Elric himself, and they hum with stories, each creak and sigh echoing tales of yet. There are the soft giggles of children long gone, their tiny hands tracing patterns on the glass jars filled with dried herbs and spices. Then there are the hushed tones of lovers seeking solace from the storm, their fingers intertwined as they search for the perfect candle to light their way. And sometimes Elric hears the mournful strains of a lone, their steps heavy with weariness as they seek a moment's respite from their journey. These whispers aren't mere echoes. They're threads connecting Elric to the tapestry of lives touched by his humble shop. They remind him why he tends his wares, why he crafts each candle with care, and why he opens his doors each morning, ready to offer a listening ear and a guiding hand. For, in this haven of flickering flames and whispered hopes, Elric isn't just a shopkeeper. He's a keeper of stories, a weaver of dreams, and a beacon in the quiet moments when words find their truest voice. In the highest tower of the city, nestled amidst swirling mists and starkest clouds, lives a storyteller. His hair is spun from moonlight, his eyes hold the wisdom of ages, and his voice resonates with the music of creation. Every evening, as the sun dips below the horizon, he gazes upon the world below and weaves tales of courage, love, and hope. These stories flow from his fingertips, each word igniting a spark in the hearts of those who hear them. Yet his greatest tales are saved for the quiet hours when the world sleeps. For, in the hush of the night, he spins narratives of dreams, of destinies entwined and adventures yet to unfold. His audience in the stillness, the very essence of existence, listening, learning, and growing with each whispered syllable. As the first rays of dawn touch the rooftops, he finishes his tales, his voice echoing with the promise of new beginnings. And with the rising sun, his stories take flight, carried on winds of change, touching hearts, inspiring minds, and shaping destinies until it has time to spin new tales in the quiet embrace of the coming night. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Hello there. How are you? Do you find yourself drifting towards bedtime stories at night? You're winding down from the day, and you want something calm and relaxing to listen to. Well, let me tell you about my discovery. Last week, I was scrolling online looking for some nighttime inspiration and came across a series of videos called Candle Stories. Each one is like a little relaxing adventure led by a guy named Elric. He has a cute little shop filled with candles, and every night he picks one to light and tells a story inspired by its color or shape. He's got a really calming voice, and while he talks, the camera slowly pans over the shelves of his store until it finds the one he started with. Then it lights it and lets it burn down through the night. There's no sound effects, no music, just him, his candles, and the crackling fire. So last week, I thought, why not try one of these? I picked an episode called Night Bloom and nestled in bed with a steaming mug of herbal tea. Elric's soothing tones immediately made me sleepy, and as I listened to the simple story, I felt tension leaving my shoulders, my clenched jaw unclenching itself, and even my breathing slowing down. By the time the candle had burned down, I was fast asleep, and I thought to myself, wow, these would be perfect for my community. So I asked permission to make an ASMR version based on one of his episodes, and here we are. Thank you, Eric. Now, if you'd like to check out the original series, I'll leave a link in the description below. So now let's begin. Elric feels the pull. The moon hangs low. It's light, cold, but clear. The fire in his hearth is dimmed. Even the mice have gone quiet. And so he walks through his shop, bare feet brushing smooth wood, hands trailing the shelves of wax and wick. He selects a single candle. It's small, shorter than most, colored like the inside of a seashell pail, pearled and warm. He doesn't remember making this one, but his fingers do. They hold it gently, like memory. He lights it, and the flame is soft, lower than a whisper, yet somehow deeper. And when he exhales, the room begins to shift, not visibly, but in feeling. Time slows. Shadows retreat. Even the air feels safer. And Elric finally sits. He places the candle on the windowsill, letting it glow for the stars to see. His breath calms. His eyelids soften. Now, dear listener, imagine the candle beside you. Its glow brushing your cheek. Its warmth touching your thoughts. You feel the room quieten. Your shoulders release. Your breath evens out like ripples in still water. Let your mind wander gently, as if carried by wax and light. Let this candle hold all that you brought with you. The noise, the lists, the questions. Let it carry them, just for tonight. Let it hum your name in peace, and paint your dreams with gentle colors. Outside, snow falls again. It makes no sound, only softness. The wind curls past the shutters, but it doesn't enter. It, too, respects the silence. Elric dozes in his chair. The candle still burns, but it doesn't rush. It's in no hurry. Like you've arrived at the edge of sleep now, and the flame will keep you company. So rest now, without worry, without effort. Let yourself drift through wax, through warmth, through the quiet world behind your eyes. And when morning comes, the candle will have faded, but its light remains with you, always. So what did you think? Would you like to hear more candle stories? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're there, don't forget to show your support. It really helps my channel grow and allows me to make more videos for you. In the meantime, if you haven't already, I'd love it if you could take a moment to subscribe to my channel and follow me on social media. That way you won't miss any of my future uploads. And who knows, maybe you'll even get a peek behind the scenes. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful day and night. Remember to drink plenty of water, eat something good, and get some rest. And until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and stay awesome. See you soon.